Well, hi, everybody. I'm Don Stewart, and welcome to another edition of Breaking News of this Tuesday, the 28th day of May, 2024. And if you were with us this morning, you heard me give an explanation about what we do here on Breaking News, the fact that we only do stories that have something to do with last day's Bible prophecy. We have a website, Educating Our World, which has 65 books, which are all available for free download, which support what we say, 12 books on Bible prophecy. We send you there with these various issues we deal with. Now, if you didn't get a chance to watch that, please do. And the reason I'm saying this is yesterday I was on the program Hope for Our Times with Tom Hughes. We've had a lot of new subscribers, about 700 so far. Many of you have just come in the last hour or two. And so we just want to let you know, we explained this morning what we do here, why we're all here, what we're all about. So please take advantage of that and watch us. Also, too, on our YouTube and on our website and on our app, there's a little button you can click, particularly on the YouTube page that says more, which it gives a further explanation, a summary of what we talk about. I write out a summary every time we do a broadcast of what we've talked about, so you can cut and paste if you want to select that and just read what we've said. And if you need to, look at it or follow what we've said in a more logical manner. And so we do that for you, and hopefully that's been a help to you. We don't allow comments on the site. We used to do that, but now since we have over 28,400 subscribers, I just can't handle all the comments that we get and the questions. I'm just not able to do it. It's only me doing this, by the way. I don't have any staff, any help. So this is it. So sorry about that, but I will answer one question, the one we most often get. No, this is not my background. This is not my house here in the background. These trees. I'm not sure what kind of tree it is. Get that all the time. We do live in Southern California in LA County in an urban area. But the good news is we live at the end of a cul-de-sac where there's a canyon that goes several miles uh, down and around. And there's all kinds of animals and creatures that come and visit us, including a bobcat that seems to really like our house. It's a baby, it's a female. It's not that big. It's literally not much bigger than a couple of our cats. But it's nice to have nature here with us. So sometimes if you hear in the background, particularly in the summer, birds chirping, that is the original, they're outside our window. And if you hear cats screaming, that's our kittens wanting to know when's the next meal. And so just to let you know, we are in nature here. All right. Now, this morning when we did the broadcast, there was going to be a supposed emergency meeting of the Security Council of the United Nations. I've been waiting for that. It's after 3 o'clock Pacific time. As I'm doing this, I've heard nothing about it. I've been looking all day on the news. And so if they do meet, they come up with some resolution, we'll respond to it first thing in the morning. We usually broadcast our breaking news in the morning about 6 a.m. approximately Pacific time. Sometimes a little later, sometimes a little earlier, but that's the time I shoot for. So we'll have a response to this if they did meet, make some type of statement today. But there are some really interesting headlines since we last talked. How about this first one? The IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, says the enriched uranium stockpile from Iran is 30 times bigger than the nuclear deal of Obama allows. 30 times bigger. The International Atomic Energy Agency issued a confidential report on Monday that discovered that Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium reached 30 times the limit Tehran accepted in former President Barack Obama's 2015 nuclear deal called the JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. The IAEA document, which has not been released to the public but was reviewed by the Associated Press, says now they have 6,201 kilograms. A kilo is 2.2 pounds. I'm sure most of you know that, of enriched uranium in its inventory, a dramatic increase of 675.8 pounds from the last IAEA report in February. The report also complained that Iran is still interfering with its operations by preventing its most experienced inspectors from monitoring nuclear facilities. The director, Rafael Grossi, visited Iran, and he said, the present state is completely unsatisfactory for me. We're almost at an impasse, and this needs to be changed, he said upon returning to Vienna from Tehran. He said in January that Iran now has enough enriched uranium to build several nuclear weapons. By this, he meant Iran has stockpiled enough near weapons grade material enriched far beyond any rational civilian need to refine the uranium a bit further and create simple atomic weapons. And they're basically able to do this. All right, that's our top story. Well, what could possibly go wrong? Well, what we know is Israel will not let Iran get to the place where they're constructing a nuclear weapon. If that happens, there will be a regional war that does break out, believe me. Iran will, a month ago when Iran was bombing Israel, the United States says, don't respond. They just respond very lightly to them. But if they're in the process of constructing some type of nuclear weapon, believe me, they will be bombed by Israel to the place where they cannot do that. So we'll wait and see if that happens. Now, if this does happen and a regional war does break out, as we've said before, it is not the Ezekiel 38-39 invasion. People will mix that up, and guaranteed people say, this is it. This is the Ezekiel 38-39 invasion. We talk about this all the time. If it does break out, this is Iran. Iran is running this with its proxies in Iraq, Lebanon, Yemen, and elsewhere, and obviously Hezbollah. That's in Lebanon. You've got Hamas in the Gaza Strip. You've got their minions in the West Bank. And we also have a story today that there are a couple of drones were sent from Iraq. One of the people groups there that aligns with Iran that was sent it towards Israel, towards Eilat, the city on the southern part of Israel. So they're surrounding Israel. That's Iran trying to start something. But Ezekiel 38-39 is not that. Ezekiel 38 is led by Russia. And so we have an appendix in our book, 25 Signs. We're near the end. The war with Israel and Hamas beginning on October 7th, 2023 is not the Ezekiel 38-39 invasion. That's a statement. Then we also have a co-heading, subheading, what about Iran's April 13th, 14th attack on Israel? Could that be the beginning of Ezekiel 38-39? So the answer is no to both of those. And again, this is from our book, 25 Signs. We're near the end. Appendix 4 from our website, Educating Our World. Every book we have, everything there is a free download. 65 books, 400 plus videos. Everything's free. So please take advantage of it. All right. So no, if a war does break out and something like that may indeed happen, this would not be Ezekiel 38-39. But Iran has enriched uranium to the near weapons grade, and they've got 30 times more than they were allowed to have it. So hang on here. This is, again, obviously a developing story. Now, something to piggyback on what we said earlier today. Headline number 2, the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, says a hidden store of terror munitions may have caused that deadly Rafah blaze. This is from the Times of Israel. Military probing if stockpile of weapons or other combustibles caused secondary blasts leading to dozens of deaths. Insist airstrike was not in designated Gaza safe zone. That's the headline. Kind of a little incongruent here. But anyway, what the military found out, what they've said now, they've done a little more research. They have an infograph there. This is from the website Times of Israel. And basically it shows where the rockets hit. And it's about 180 meters or almost 600 feet from any type of where people were. It's a very specific place. And there was likely where it hit was a hidden store of weapons. May have been the actual cause of the deadly blaze, that an airstrike targeted an adjacent area that used small munitions. And they made it real clear that the weapons they used to target that area where these two Hezbollah leaders were there. There's no way they could have survived it, obviously, but it was a very tactical strike, and it wasn't a very large ordnance that hit them. In other words, it couldn't have caused the fire, the blaze by itself that went to the area about 2 football fields away where there were human beings there. They weren't supposed to be there because they were not, this is not the humanitarian zone. They have a zone there that is not being attacked. And Hezbollah, as we talked about, put human shields there, specifically if something like this took place. And so, like we said earlier, this was not Israel going in the wrong place, not hitting a place that was off limits for them. This is where they said, we are going to hit this area. You have to go to XYZ place, but not here. And that's why it's really strange that Prime Minister Netanyahu apologized for the strike there. There's nothing to apologize for. This was Hamas doing this that placed civilians near, and most likely what happened when the rockets hit, it wasn't that much to cause a large conflagration. It's very pinpoint, but there obviously were some type of explosives there in the building that these leaders were in that caused the fire that got to the civilians that were there. So Bottom line is the munitions or some type of combustible substance it was unaware of caused the secondary explosion to spread to a complex where some of the displaced Gazans in Rafah were there, which they should not have been there. They were warned, you don't go to this area. We have zones that are free from any type of attack. So anyway, that's an update on the incident there from the IDF, Israeli Defense Force. They said there's 2 small munitions in the strike, each with a 17 kilogram or 37-pound rocket in an attempt to prevent civilian casualties. That's why they use something that small to kill these 2 leaders. But given the close proximity of the camp of displaced Palestinians, and if you had something in the building they were in that was combustible, then that would explain why the fire went to, it was about 2 football fields away, almost 600 feet away, from where the rocket struck to where the buildings had the fire. It's a terrible, terrible situation. But the bottom line is these 2 small missiles on their own would not have been enough to spark the fire, according to the initial probe of the Israeli Defense Force. Now, headline number 3. U.S. is still assessing if heartbreaking Rafah strike crossed Biden's red line. The EU, the UN, UNRWA, and others are outraged over the alleged massacre. We've talked about that this morning. Amid strident international protests following an Israeli airstrike that allegedly killed up to 40 people in Rafah on Sunday evening, Washington has so far withheld criticisms, stating it is still assessing what happened as of Monday. The IDF reported that it eliminated 2 senior Hamas commanders while also vowing to investigate the strike. And as the story continues to go, the Biden administration continues to assess whether the strike was a violation of U.S. President Joe Biden's red line regarding Israel's operation in the southern Gaza city of Rafah, 2 American officials told Axios news outlet. Joe Biden's red line. All right, here you have a mentally challenged geriatric that Israel must bow down to in order to continue their fight for their actual existence. The behavior of this administration is a perfect example as to why the U.S. won't be in last days Bible prophecy as a superpower, namely because their treatment of Israel. We deal with this in our book, 25 Signs. We're near the end. Sign number 11, no superpower will intervene on Israel's behalf when they are invaded. Ezekiel 38:39. Something will happen to the United States. And so we'll see if the UN Security Council meets, if they come up with some resolution. We'll see what the United States says, what Joe Biden says. Will this cross his red line? Well, Lord help us. All right, headline number 4. Now we're shifting gears a little bit, but this is huge also. Putin says French military's appearance in Ukraine is step towards global conflict. And this is, I've got 2 headlines here. One is from Reuters, and the other is from Breitbart. That was from Reuters. And then there's one from Breitbart, says mission creep, question mark. France is deploying soldiers to Ukraine, says Kiev. French mercenaries have been in Ukraine for a long time, and the appearance of the regular military and the appearance of the regular military, there is another step towards global conflict. Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Tuesday. France has repeatedly denied Russians' allegations that there are French mercenaries in Ukraine. Paris said it has not ruled out sending military trainers to Ukraine in the future, but has made no decision to do this. Now, it's a Reuters story. Here it's a Breitbart story. Ukrainian government praised France's determination for sending military advisors to the country, saying it hoped Paris making the first move would encourage other Western partners to deploy troops too. A months-long drama over French President Emmanuel Macron's apparently intractable desire to deploy French soldiers directly to Ukraine appears to be approaching the point of action. As Ukraine reveals, it has now legally cleared the way for foreign troops to arrive. Crucially, the Ukrainian stated he hoped France, breaking the Western taboo of boots on the ground in Ukraine, would encourage other backers to get involved more directly. In other words, more NATO countries to get in Ukraine and fight the commies there, right? He said, I believe that France's determination will encourage other partners to join this ambitious project. The timing is unclear, not the least because shortly after the statement was made, the Ukraine's defense minister appeared to offer a soft clarification, saying Ukraine expressed interest in the prospect of receiving foreign instructors in Ukraine. As of now, we're still in discussion with France and other countries on this issue. All right, Putin gave a huge warning, though. And again, basically, we talked about the other day, there are Western weapons now that Ukraine has that are given the okay to be used to go over the border and hit in Russia. And Putin says you're getting not close to World War III here by pushing that. Now we have this story that some of these NATO countries, France, for example, is thinking about putting boots on the ground in Ukraine to fight the Russians. Now, what we do know, why this is important, Russia is the nation that will lead the last days invasion of Israel, as recorded in Ezekiel 38:39. If you are interested in finding out more of that, sign 9 of our 25 signs, we're near the end. In the last days, certain specified nations will invade Israel, Ezekiel 38:39, that's sign 9. Now, if you want more detail, we have an entire book on this subject called the Ezekiel 38:39 invasion. And Appendix 1 explains the meaning of Rosh in Ezekiel 38:39. This is for the arguments that Rosh refers to Russia. It's a proper noun referring to a place. It's a place name called in its modern day Russia. Not because Rosh sounds like Russia, simply because there's evidence for that. We give about, I can't remember, about something like a dozen different references why we believe Rosh is Russia there in Ezekiel 38, where it talks about the prince of Rosh is the one who is addressed by the Lord there. He is called Gog, and that is his title. Now, also about the Russian invasion of Ukraine, what does it mean biblically? We also have that as an appendix, Appendix 4 in our book, 25 Signs. We're near the end. And we give 11 observations about the personage Gog who leads the invasion, so you know something about his character. So there's an awful lot to check out that we have for you. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, as it were, because there's a lot of information we have. 12 books on Bible prophecy, all for free download, thoroughly dealing with many subjects like the final Antichrist, the Jews, Jerusalem, and the coming temple. 2 volumes on the rapture of the church. And of course, 25 signs, we're near the end, and others. And so we want you to take advantage of that. We want you to understand what's going on. The Bible says in the last days, the wise will understand. Daniel chapter 12 and verse 10. We will get it. We will know what's going on, though the unwise, the wicked will never understand. And that's sign 24 and 25 of our 25 signs. We're near the end. The wicked will never get it, but the wise, those who take the Bible seriously, will certainly understand. All right. Well, again, we welcome all the new subscribers here to our website, Educating Our World, to our program on YouTube. And it's also on our app, EOW, Educating Our World with Don Stewart, and also on YouTube, obviously. And you can watch it any of those places. And please take advantage of it. And if you can do us a favor, shamelessly promote what we're doing, because everything is free. We don't charge for anything. We're trying to educate our world. That's the whole idea, to what the gospel is all about, what Jesus Christ is all about, because it's all a means to an end to preach the gospel. It's not just to tickle our fancy about what's going to happen in the future. We want you to know that God exists. He's in control. He's told us these things ahead of time. So when they do happen, we're not afraid. We're not disillusioned. All right. I'm Don Stewart. Thanks for watching. And until next time, may the Lord, as always, richly, richly bless you.